Bleacher Report just dropped their 2026 MLB Power Rankings. Dodgers at 1, Blue Jays at 2, Mariners at 4. Everyone's arguing about who's too high and who's too low. But here's what nobody's talking about. Every single team on this list has a fatal flaw. The Dodgers are chasing a three-peat with 6 pitchers on the injured list. The Blue Jays were 1 out away from a championship, and now they got 3 starters on the IL before opening day. The Tigers have back-to-back Cy Youngs from Scooble and no extension in sight. So today, these are the 10 best teams in the 2026 MLB Power Rankings, and the scary truth about them that nobody's noticing. The Orioles were supposed to be the next dynasty. Young core, elite farm system, Gunnar Henderson looking like a future MVP. Then 2025 happened. They started 3-2, then went 18-13 over the next 2 months. By the time summer hit, they were sellers at the deadline. So this offseason, they made some moves. Pete Alonso, 5 years, $155 million. The protection Gunnar Henderson never had. Trevor Rogers, a 1.81 ERA last season, 9th in Cy Young voting. Now their opening day starter. Kyle Bradish healthy. Shane Baz acquired. Chris Bassett signed for depth. Taylor Ward, the dude had 36 home runs last year, brought in from the Angels. On paper, this is the best Orioles roster in decades. But there's a problem. Their defense was the worst in the American League last season. Minus 23 outs above average, minus 22 defensive WAR. In their big offseason addition at first base, Pete Alonso has never graded very well with the glove. Jackson Holliday is out with a broken hand. Jordan Westburg has a partial UCL tear. 2 of their best young players gone before Game 1. The bullpen is top-heavy. Beyond Ryan Helsley, it's hope and prayer. And this lineup, it's built to hit home runs or absolutely nothing. No small ball, no manufacturing runs. Baltimore has the talent to win 95 games, but they also have the same defensive issues that sank them last year. And now they're banking on a first baseman who just makes the problems worse. The Tigers have the best rotation in baseball. It's not even really that close. Tarek Skubal, back-to-back Cy Youngs. First American League pitcher to do that since Pedro Martinez in 1999 and 2000. Last year, 2.21 ERA, 241 strikeouts, 89 WHIP. Framber Valdez, 3 years, $115 million, the highest average annual value in franchise history. Justin Verlander, 43 years old, back in Detroit for the first time since 2017. 1 year, $13 million. The heart and soul of their last championship run, finally home. Jack Flaherty, Casey Mize, depth for days. And here's what makes this team fascinating. The 2026 Tigers have a realistic chance to field a starting lineup composed entirely of players they drafted or signed internationally. That hasn't happened in the modern draft era yet. Dylan Ding have won 95 games 2 years in a row and lost in the NLDS 2 years in a row. $317 million payroll. Same core, just running it back. Harper, Schwarber, Turner, Bohm, Realmuto, Nola, Wheeler. The upgrades are real. Justin Crawford is starting in the center at 21. Adolis Garcia replacing Castellanos in right. One scout called it going from a statue to a ballet dancer. The bullpen is 75% new, with Juan Duran and Brad Keller leading the way. And Andrew Painter is finally making his MLB debut. Top pitching prospect, hitting 98 miles per hour this spring. If he's the real deal, this rotation becomes elite. But here's what they lost. Ranger Suarez signed with Boston, 5 years, $130 million. 12 wins and a 3.20 ERA last year, gone. Aaron Nola is coming off the worst season of his career. Zach Wheeler was shut down late last year. His health is basically the biggest question mark on this roster. JT Realmuto is 35 with a 673 OPS last season. Father Time is knocking. And here's the scary truth. This core is all in their 30s now. Harper, Schwarber, Turner, Realmuto, Nola, Wheeler. The clock is ticking, and they've hit 199 in the playoffs over the last 2 years. The NL East is there for the taking, but if Wheeler's arm gives out or Painter needs time to develop, this might be the year that window finally closes. Boston built a pitching factory this offseason. They have a deep team with 5 legit arms, maybe 6. The Red Sox can match up with anyone in October. Aroldis Chapman had the best season of his career last year. 1.17 ERA, 17 straight appearances without allowing a hit. At 38, the dude is still throwing gas. And Rowan Anthony is the real deal. 21 years old, legitimate 40-homer potential. The kind of cornerstone you build a franchise around. He showed out in the WBC and looks ready to take over. So you might be wondering what the problem is. Well, everything. They traded Rafael Devers mid-season last year, then lost Alex Bregman, Rob Refsnyder, and Romy Gonzalez in the offseason. That's 4 of their best hitters against left-handed pitching, all gone. Fangraphs projects 0 Red Sox players to hit 20-plus home runs this season. That probably undersells Anthony, but still, this lineup has a massive power vacuum. Caleb Durbin is replacing Devers at third base. That's a significant downgrade. Craig Breslow built a pitching juggernaut but forgot to add a second power bat. The scary truth? Roman Anthony might be great, but he's also 21 and has never played a full MLB season. If he struggles, this lineup has no backup plan. The Yankees led baseball in runs last year, 849 of them. Led baseball in home runs with 274 bombs, and still lost in the ALDS to Toronto. So what did they do this offseason? Basically nothing. Look, the lineup is insane. Aaron Judge just won his 3rd MVP in 4 years. 331, 53 home runs, 114 RBIs. Stanton's still mashing. Bellinger signed a 5-year, $162.5 million extension. And Jazz went 30-30 last year. Austin Wells is emerging from behind the plate too. Max Fried is healthy. Cam Schlittler looks like a legit number 2. On paper, this should be a championship roster, like no question. But here's the thing. The bullpen was 23rd in MLB last year, 4.37 ERA, and in the playoffs, it ballooned to 6.15. So naturally, they let Devin Williams and Luke Weaver walk to the Mets. Garrett Cole is still rehabbing from Tommy John. Rodon's working his way back. Volpe had shoulder surgery and won't be back until May. The Yankees are running it back and betting on health. And if this sounds familiar, it's because this happened last year too. This is the most talented lineup in baseball. But they said that last year too. And the year before. If the bullpen implodes in October again, same story, different ending. At some point, you gotta wonder, is the roster the problem, or is it something else? The Cubs won 92 games last year, made the playoffs, took Milwaukee to 5 games in the NLDS, and then they went out and signed Alex Bregman. Without sugarcoating it, their infield might be the best in baseball now. Bregman at third, Dansby Swanson at short, Nico Horner at second. The Cubs won the NL Team Gold Glove last year, and they just got better. Pete Crow-Armstrong became a star in 2025. First Cub ever to hit 30 home runs, 30 doubles, and steal 30 bases in the same season. All-Star, Gold Glove, and the dude's only 23. The lineup is deep, but here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. The NL Central is weak. Milwaukee traded its best pitcher. The Twins are rebuilding. The White Sox just had their third straight 100-loss season. The Reds and Pirates aren't scaring anyone either. The Cubs could win 95 games and still not know if they're actually good. The scary truth? Chicago might cruise to a division title only to get exposed in October against real competition. We won't know what this team is until the playoffs. So far, we've talked about teams with fatal flaws. Bad defense, lineups with no power, front offices that won't spend. But Seattle? Oh, Seattle is different. This is a team that was 7 outs away from the World Series last year. Game 7 of the ALCS, up by 2 in the 9th inning. And then Edward Bazardo threw a fastball to George Springer, and Toronto ended their season with 1 swing. And they've never been closer than they were last October. But after that run, what did they do? They ran it back and got better. Cal Raleigh, 60 home runs last year, AL MVP runner-up, the best power-hitting catcher in baseball. Josh Naylor signed a 5-year, $92.5 million contract, a full season of his bat after the trade deadline acquisition. The rotation is just filthy. Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Brian Wu, Luis Castillo, Emerson Hancock. Andres Munoz is closing games. This roster is built to win now. So what's the flaw? They might have an injury issue. J.P. Crawford is starting the season on the IL. Shoulder inflammation. Bryce Miller is on the IL too. Oblique strain. That's 2 key pieces already out before Game 1. Here's the scary truth about the Mariners. This roster is built for 2026, not 2027 and not 2028. If Crawford and Miller miss extended time, if Julio doesn't break out, if the bullpen depth gets tested, they might be watching October from home. Again. And for a franchise that's never been to the Fall Classic, that's not just a bad season. That's heartbreak. Speaking of a team that breaks hearts, the Mets are also one to watch. Steve Cohen opened the checkbook again. Shocking, I know. But this offseason was different. This wasn't just spending money. This was burning the roster to the ground and rebuilding it in 4 months. Bo Bichette, 3 years, $126 million. The Blue Jays World Series hero is now a Met. Marcus Semien, traded from Texas for Brandon Nimmo. Elite defender at second base. Luis Robert Jr. acquired from Chicago. Freddie Peralta. Juan Soto is back for year 2. Last season, 263, 396, 525, 43 home runs, 127 walks, led all of baseball, 38 stolen bases. On paper, this lineup is terrifying. But here's where it gets weird. Jorge Polanco has never played first base in his MLB career, and he's replacing Pete Alonso. Bo Bichette has never played third base as a pro, not once. He's starting their opening day. You're asking 2 guys to learn entirely new positions on a team trying to win a championship. And Luis Robert Jr., the guy missed 114 games over the last 2 seasons. The talent is elite, the availability is a question mark. Francisco Alvarez was so inconsistent last year, they sent him to Syracuse for a month. He came back better, but is he fixed or just patched? Here's the thing about the Mets. When it works, it works. This lineup could lead the NL in runs, but there are just so many variables, so many unknowns. So many guys being asked to do things they've just never done. If Bichette can't play third, if Robert gets hurt again, if all the new pieces don't gel, this isn't a World Series team. It's an expensive disaster. And in New York, with these expectations, that's a nightmare. 1 out. That's how close Toronto was to winning the World Series last year. Game 7 against the Dodgers, bottom of the 9th. 2 outs, run on first. And then Mookie Betts singled. Ohtani walked. Freeman doubled down the line. Ball game. Series over. LA celebrates. Toronto just watches. 32 years since their last championship, and they were this close to ending it. So you'd think this team would be the favorites, right? Defending AL champs. Best record in the league last year. Vladdy finally signed the extension. But Vegas has them third in their own division, behind the Yankees, behind the Red Sox. Why? Because everything that could go wrong this offseason went wrong. Bo Bichette left for the Mets. Their best hitter in the World Series. Gone. Bowden Francis needs Tommy John. Out for the year. Shane Bieber is dealing with forearm fatigue. Jose Berrios has a stress fracture in his elbow. Trey Savage, the guy who was electric in the playoffs, has a shoulder impingement. That's 3 rotation pieces on the IL before opening day. And Anthony Santander, the big offseason signing, shoulder surgery. Out 5 to 6 months. But here's the flip side. They signed Dylan Cease. 7 years, $210 million. Over 200 strikeouts in 5 straight seasons. Cody Ponce won the KBO's version of the Cy Young last year. Kazuma Okamoto is the favorite to win AL Rookie of the Year. Japanese star, 29 years old, ready to produce immediately. And Vladdy, the dude went nuclear in the playoffs. 241 WRC plus across 18 games. The extension is signed. The dude's locked in. The defense is elite. Jimenez and Clement combined for 26 outs above average last year. This team doesn't beat itself. The truth is, Toronto's ceiling is a championship, but their floor with all these injuries is a wild card exit. The AL East is a bloodbath. All 5 teams are projected to finish 500 or better. Can the Blue Jays survive long enough for their pitching to get healthy? That's the only question that matters. When it comes to the Dodgers, what else is there to say? Back-to-back World Series champions. Trying to become the first team to three-peat since the 2000 Yankees. The first NL team to do it ever. Shohei Ohtani, 4-time unanimous MVP. 55 home runs last year. Back to pitching full-time. They signed Kyle Tucker to a 4-year, $240 million contract. The best free agent on the entire market. Slots in at number 2 in the lineup behind Ohtani. Edwin Diaz fixes the one weakness that nearly killed him in October. Yoshinobu Yamamoto won World Series MVP. 2.49 ERA. Over 200 strikeouts. Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Will Smith, Teoscar Hernandez, Tyler Glasnow. This is the most talented roster in baseball, maybe ever. So where's the flaw? Age. 7 of their 9 projected starters are over 30. This lineup is old. That's why Tucker was so important. The dude's 29 and still in his prime. And the pitching staff is already banged up. Roki Sasaki had a nightmare spring. His command was all over the place. The Dodgers say he'll start in the rotation anyway. Mookie Betts hit worse than Cesar Izturis last year. He says he's healthy now, but we'll see. Tommy Edman had ankle surgery. Out to start the season. Second base is a question mark until he returns. Here's the thing about the Dodgers. They've won 2 straight titles, but they've never won 100 games in either of those seasons. They coast through the regular season, rest their guys, and manage workloads. It works until it doesn't. The scary truth? Everyone is chasing them. Toronto wants revenge. Seattle wants their first pennant. The Yankees want to prove they belong. And the Dodgers are starting the year with 6 pitchers on the IL and a 43-year-old Max Scherzer question mark. They're still the favorites, by a mile. But dynasties don't last forever. And this roster, as talented as it is one bad injury away from being vulnerable. The question isn't whether the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. The question is whether Father Time finally catches up. So there you have it, the 10 best teams in baseball heading into 2026. Every single one of them has the talent to win a championship, and every single one of them has a flaw that could just end their season. That's baseball. So let me know, which team do you think is overrated? Which one is being slept on? Drop it in the comments. And if you made it this far, subscribe, hit the bell, and I'll see you in the next one.